everyone, this is Maki. Today's program contains spoilers related to the story of the film. I'm going to share my thoughts on the developments and mobile suits depicted in the film. I repeat, this talk will contain film spoilers. If you want to avoid spoilers, please stop watching the program now. Actually, I was thinking of discussing my spoiler-filled thoughts a little later. However, the official media of the Gundam series has started to release advertisements that contain spoilers. So I decided to share my thoughts including the spoilers in this episode. Recently, a lot of spoiler information has been circulating on the internet, even without malicious intent. That's why I think the official media is also running advertisements with spoiler information. If you want to enjoy the film with a fresh perspective, I do not recommend watching this episode. Now let me give you my thoughts on the film. I enjoyed watching this movie, but I also thought it's a movie that's likely to divide opinions. Gundam Seed Freedom felt like a festival for fans who had been waiting for 20 years. As a result, it didn't show developments such as solving the world's problems, such as the conflict between coordinators and neutrals, or unraveling the mysteries of space. In Hathaway, the focus was on characters confronting entities pursuing their own interests against a backdrop of environmental degradation and privileged classes, central themes of the universal century. Gundam 00 consolidated elements that had been built up in the TV anime and showed the completion of the overall story. Those who expected these elements may have been left with a less favorable impression. The movie reminded me of the directing techniques used in the super robot genre of anime, which greatly influenced the Gundam series. It felt similar to movies in which robots from different series, such as Great Mazinger or Getter Robo, transcend their usual boundaries and perform. However, that doesn't mean that the story lacked a theme. Director Mitsuo Fukuda has stated in magazine interviews that love is the theme of the movie. Looking at the movie from the perspective that love is the theme, it's indeed obvious that the direction is in line with this theme, and the story is complete. I analyzed the movie based on past trends, focusing on how the Seed series would end. This approach seems to have been a mistake. Moreover, the director explicitly stated that love is the theme. It might be worthwhile to reflect on this here, since the answer was clearly presented. As for the movie being like a festival, its main feature was the abundance of mobile suit battle scenes. It was a movie where you could enjoy numerous powerful and fast battle scenes. This would be very appealing to those who love battle scenes. Also, most of the mobile suits were represented by computer graphics. While there were some hand-drawn scenes that were reminiscent of traditional animation, the majority were computer-generated. The advancement of computer graphics technology was very evident. Now to the mobile suits that appeared. Many may already be familiar with them from the official promotional videos released today. Strike Freedom Gundam and Infinite Justice Gundam made their appearances. Destiny Gundam and Akatsuki from Sea Destiny were also shown. What surprised many viewers was the appearance of Zegak from the original Gundam and Buster Gundam and Duo Gundam from Seed. I jokingly said in a Buster Gundam commentary program that a Buster Gundam with a nuclear engine will appear, but I never thought that statement would become a reality. The return of Strike Freedom felt like a result of the movie that spanned over 20 years. Many fans speculated that Rising Freedom Gundam would be damaged in the middle of the story and would be replaced by a repaired model or a new mobile suit based on Strike Freedom. I predicted that Rising Freedom Gundam would be improved and appear in the final battle. The prediction of the return of Strike Freedom was more accurate. I would like to excuse myself a little. In an interview with director Mitsuo Fukuda included in the brochure, he said the Proud Defender, which was intended to be an expansion part for the new Freedom, was changed to be used for the return of Strike Freedom. It seems that Strike Freedom appeared as a part of the fan service, a result of the movie spanning over 20 years. Of course, if the movie had been released shortly after the conclusion of Sea Destiny, the return of Strike Freedom might not have happened. Whether New Freedom refers to Rising Freedom is unclear. There may have been another Freedom in the original plans, neither Rising nor Strike Freedom. Let's talk about Nishiki, the modified version of Strike Freedom Gundam. Would it be best to call it Type 2 in English? Nishiki is a common expression in Japanese. According to the brochure on the official website, it was modified in old. The callus in the abdomen has been changed to Agi. Perhaps so, which has the development technology of the GATX series, made this modification to Agi. There is also the possibility that it was a simple descriptive error, and it really is Calidus. Rising Freedom's beam cannon was originally listed as Agi, but upon the official release of the model kit, it was revealed to be called Sturmschwarmer. Strike Freedom Type 2 becomes Mighty Strike Freedom when combined with Proud Defender. The exact settings are currently unknown. A similar concept can be found in the Astray series. In the episode Princess of the Sky, the Gundam Astray Gold framer Matsuhano has similar equipment. The pilots board a wing-like machine that combines with the Gundam. Mighty Strike Freedom is also equipped with a weapon resembling a Japanese sword called Futsunomi Tama. In the Seed series, weapons that resemble Japanese swords are made using an ancient technology known as Graveyard. This technology is widely used and can be seen in weapons such as the Scythe of Forbidden Gundam and the Sword of Jin-type High Maneuver, two Japanese swords. However, only Logel and his Master Unknown, the protagonists of the Astray series, have fully mastered this Graveyard technology. The Mighty Strike Freedom, which appears as the most powerful mobile suit in the Seed series, may use a Japanese sword made by Logel. In this sense, it could be considered the culmination of the Seed and Seed Astray series. 2 points to mention about Mighty Strike Freedom, even if they sound like excuses. I had predicted and talked about the new Freedom Gundam that appeared in the final battle of the movie as Ultimate Freedom Gundam. This was based on an episode when the late Chiaki Morosawa, the scriptwriter of Seed, decided to take on the role of scriptwriter. In the magazine Animage, she expressed her determination to try something new in a historical work, like Kamen Rider Cougar. In Cougar, the transformation into the ultimate form occurs in the final battle. So what does Mighty mean? Actually, the basic form of Kamen Rider Cougar is called Mighty Form. The element that brought Chiaki Morosawa and Seed together was called Mighty. Of course, it is unclear whether this name is derived from Kamen Rider Cougar. Let's hope for clarification in interviews with Mitsuo Fukuda. And as I've mentioned in past programs, in Kamen Rider Cougar, the power awakened in the middle of the story is called Rising. One more thing, I had predicted that the freedom that appears in the final battle would emit flames all over its body. This prediction can be said to have been wrong. However, there was a scene where it emitted lightning all over its body. Personally, I think it was a close guess, but what do you think? The principle behind Mighty Strike, Freedom's lightning-based attack is unclear. Let's look forward to the reveal of the settings. As for the opposing organization, the foundation their elements may be the divisive part for the audience. They were born as a race culture code, and they surpassed the coordinators, but it's unclear exactly how they surpassed them. The movie depicts them as being able to read and interfere with the minds of others. Kira Yamato's confusion, which led him to inadvertently cross the military line into battle, was a memorable scene. We may have to wait for the novel for a more detailed explanation of Kira's condition. While the codes use powers similar to psychic abilities, whether that alone interprets them as superior to the coordinators is up to the individual viewer. The Foundation aims to dominate the world by ruling over the naturals, the old humanity, and destroying those who oppose them. They establish their control by implementing the plan of destiny, intending to end the history of war by repeating what Gilbert Duano did. Some fans felt that their codes were conveniently set up as enemies necessary for cure, and others to shine. Indeed, that perspective is understandable. However, if the theme of the work is love, then they played their part well enough. Ophi loved Lara's crying because she had necessary skills. Lara rejects Ophi, saying, "Love is not born because one is needed because one loves." Lara speaks kindly to Ophi. "Someday someone who truly loves you may appear." Ophi replies fiercely, "I don't care about the future. I want you now." Ophi's words could be related to the closing of the future element of the destiny plan. Ingrid loved Ophi, but denied her own feelings, believing that she was not worthy of love because she was not needed by Ophi. She bursts into tears after hearing Lara's words. The Black Knight Squad cavalry, piloted by Ophi and Ingrid, is defeated by the Mighty Strike Freedom and explodes just before the explosion. Ingrid becomes true to her own heart and speaks kindly to Ophi. Her fiery end is a tragic conclusion. I felt that the portrayal of Ophi piloting with his back to Ingrid, as opposed to Kira and Lars fighting side by side, was intentional to show their contrasting characters. Mitsuo Fukuda humorously mentioned in a movie greeting, "I would like to see Ophi and Ingrid's story in Super Robot Wars." I, too, hope to see them discover true love and rush to help Kira and the others. The Black Knight Squad symbolized beings needed for their abilities. Shin and Azran defeat them. Shin, combining his strengths with Luna Maria and protected by Stella in his heart, triumphs. Azran counters the mind-reading enemy with a surprising tactic. He has casually remotely controlled the Infinite Justice Gundam type to unshocks the enemy by imagining sexy Kagari in his mind, causing much laughter among fans. Despite its comedic nature, it is in keeping with the theme of love leading to victory. Mitsuo Fukuda commented that Kagari would never make such expressions, suggesting that both Afran's fantasy and the director's words are valid. It means Kagari would never make seductive expressions, but such desires exist in Afran's heart. This interpretation validates both points of view. The remote control seeing can also be interpreted as symbolizing that their love remains unchanged, no matter the distance. I have many more thoughts, but for now I'll leave it at that. To support the film and help it get released in different countries, I plan to challenge myself to watch it repeatedly. I'm sure I'll discover new elements in these experiences. It's really a work full of intricate details. For example, in the final battle, Hilda works with Shin to defeat the Black Knight Squad. In the process, they hide the Gelgut directly behind the Destiny Gundam to approach the enemy unnoticed. It then attacks the enemy that was distracted by the Destiny Gundam. This tactic mirrors the jet stream attack used by the Black Tri-Stars in the original Gundam. The jet stream attack in Sea Destiny involved creating a defensive field called Screaming Nimbus with 3 domes and charging into the enemy lines. It's as if the original Black Tri-Stars lent their power to Hilda. As I was writing this script, new information was announced starting February 2. A 16-page booklet of character and mecha designs will be distributed as a bonus for attending the movie. I've already reserved a seat at the theater to try to get it. The bonus novel I introduced in a previous program apparently ran out in about 3 days. However, due to its popularity, it has been decided to reproduce and distribute it again. It seems that Gundam Seed Freedom will have good box office results. I sincerely hope that observing these results will inspire the executives to decide to release it in more countries. Let's meet again in the next program.